Say, that is a bad outfit, Jack. Good evening, and welcome to Three Mans, $5. You'll note three mans. 1, 2, 3. Now that that's out of the way, let's get right to it. Thank you for joining us on this very special episode, and our focus is, of course, the Phantom of the Opera, specifically Mego Figures 2019 offering of the Phantom of the Opera. We have him here on the card, but he's not alone. That's right, because the show is called Three Mans for $5. Well, I'm going to make sure that you get your three mans for your imaginary $5. That is right. So, along with the Mego Phantom, we have the Mego Mask of the Red Death, who is the Phantom in disguise, as you should well know. And then we also have the Sideshow Toys Black and White edition of the Phantom of the Opera. So, we should be all locked in. We should be ready to go. Let's get to it. The Phantom of the Opera. Well, how about a little bit of background information before we talk about the figure? The Phantom of the Opera is a 1925 American silent horror film adaptation of a novel by Gaston Leroux. Written in 1910, Leroux's novel concerns a Paris opera house haunted by the Phantom, a murderous entity determined to wreak havoc upon an upcoming gala event unless the object of his desire, the lovely Christine, is made the show's star. The macabre tale of doomed love was produced by Hollywood powerhouse Universal and featured one of their biggest stars, Lon Chaney, also known as the Man of 1,000 Faces, stepped into the role of hideous protagonist Eric in makeup of his own devising. The film shocked and captivated audiences upon release, and the Phantom was soon joined by other Universal monsters such as Dracula, Frankenstein, and the Wolfman. Despite various rehashes over the years, Universal's Phantom remains the de facto version of Leroux's novel, with Chaney's makeup rendering the character of Eric an archetype of modern horror. The Phantom first haunted toy shelves in 1963, when Marx added the character to their popular line of PVC figurines. More like statues than dolls, the Marx monsters featured excellent likenesses of the characters. The same year, Aurora added a highly detailed Phantom model kit, featuring the character perched on an elaborate base. The Phantom would return in 1976, courtesy of Lincoln International, who provided kids and collectors alike with this dicey rendition. 4 years later, and Remco would spike the ball, adding a terrific-looking Phantom to both their 9-inch and 4-inch lines. The character's next notable incarnation came from Sideshow Toys as part of their Universal Monsters line. This figure features a shocking likeness of Eric that really captures the film's eerie essence. That might have been it, but EMCE decided to throw their hat into the ring in 2013, delivering yet another astonishing representation of the Phantom. Sadly, I missed this figure the first time around, but Mego had my back, re-releasing the EMCE figure in 2019. So, how does he hold up? Right off the bat, this is when Mego was still apparently in a position to put the character's image on the front of the card. You may have noticed recently some cards will feature cartoon versions of those characters. Some cards will contain just abstract backgrounds of cityscapes or forests or what have you. Apparently this is the licensing department doing their best to work with the movie studios who they license these products from. But this is a great package. Right here we have the man himself, Lon Chaney, in his own designed Phantom of the Opera makeup. That is a terrific image of him on the front. And then when you flip it over to the back, we get another dynamic still from the film. That is right, and you can't beat that, along with this wonderful, beautifully recreated image from the film. You have your information. We have your 8-inch action figure with 14 points of articulation. A little talk up about Marty Abrams, David Abrams, and the Mego Corporation. And now we have a special thanks to Dr. Mego and Andy Kovault as the sculptor. Okay, this presents wonderfully, but how does it handle when you get it out of the package? Well, let's take a look and find out. We're just going to basically grab a hold of one corner and press gently but vigorously, and the card more or less pops right off. Set the package aside. You may want to save that for later. Or conversely, you may want to throw it right into the trash. You know, your mileage may vary. And here he is. It is Eric, the Phantom of the Opera. And right off the bat, what a terrific figure. He is swell fun, for sure. He's got his opera cape. He's got his little waistcoat here. The buttons on his waistcoat are not painted, but are in fact nice little, these may be plastic, they may even be metal, riveted type buttons. Then he's got a little bit of ribbon here. I guess this is to suggest whatever scarf type thing he was wearing around his neck in the film. And beneath the cape type thing, he's got a jacket, and you can see his shirt cuffs protruding from the jacket. So we have a nice bit of three-dimensionality going on with this figure. And his pants are actually sewed into the shirt piece, so it's nice and tidy at the very least. You don't have to worry about that coming untucked. If we look at the back, we can see that that vest piece is actually just printed on, but that is sort of in keeping with the sort of Mego style. You'll notice that these figures have a simplicity compared to contemporary action figures, and that is intentional. That was Mego's aesthetic. They had initially created the line off of the Action Jackson body, which they had a big old pile of when the figures didn't sell quite as much as they'd hoped. They discovered that by licensing different properties like Marvel, DC, Planet of the Apes, they could actually just pop new heads and cloth costumes on these things and crank out bodies until the cows come home. And well, they did. And so as far as it goes, this guy has the standard 14 points of articulation. He can assume many character-specific poses. He can't get into deep splits or anything like that. But, well, when have you ever seen Eric do that? I mean, I guess other than Broadway. But he's definitely capable of doing all sorts of nifty stuff, whether it is on your shelf or in photographs, if you like to take photographs of your toys. I know I do, for sure. Now, once again, the charge could be levied that the costume and even the face paint is a bit on the simple side, and once again, that is by design. That was the Mego aesthetic. Things like this little bit of ribbon here or the painted-on suit coat, well, they don't necessarily match the aesthetic of a contemporary figure. Now, this is the Sideshow Phantom of the Opera, and this was sculpted by Olaf V. Hartvigsson. And yes, that is a name and not an extremely bad Scrabble hand. I kid, Olaf. This figure is dynamite. Definitely one of my all-time favorite monster figures. And I'm not going to say which one is better. Well, your mileage may vary. But I got to say that this is a wonderful addition to the Mego Monsters line. Mego has definitely been hitting it on all cylinders since they came back. Well, you know, after the Facts of Life figures, that was a little bit of a stumbling block, but We're past that. We're past the piles and piles of Norm from Cheers figures on discount. And now we're really getting into the swing of things. Now, like I said, this is the Red Death. And he is a later edition of the Phantom of the Opera. And he's pretty much completely different. You know, he doesn't really share much of anything except for the standard body. He's actually rocking a candlestick from the Sideshow Dracula because I felt that, well, he needed a little something. But these figures complement each other very nicely, but at the same time, well, they stand together beautifully separately on your toy shelf. Ultimately, I'll put you right there. Mego's Phantom of the Opera, well, I would give this guy a solid 7. He is a wonderful entry in their contemporary monsters line. As far as the facial paint, it could be better considering the source material. Once again, the sculpt that they had to work with was really exceptional, and the paint does let it down just a little bit. As does the flesh tone plastic. Here, it's a bit on the, pasty side. But once again, a 7, well, you could certainly do far worse as far as that goes. If you collect these Mego figures, well, get him now, because once they're gone, and you're going to be kicking yourself. They look great together on the shelf, or just menacing your wife in the kitchen cabinet. But don't tell her I said that. Hey, thank you for joining us for this special episode of 3 Mans, $5. Halloween is just around the corner, so I hope that you're in a celebrating mood. I hope that you have a spooky holiday. Cheers.